Okay, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am Brandon. I own B-List Collectibles, and you are on the journey with me as I run this business and build it to something bigger. Okay, in saying building something bigger, there's a few things we need to go over. One of them being was I've been gone for 3 weeks, and it's not that I haven't had content to post or to make, it's that I haven't gotten the opportunity to do it. And the reason why I say that is there's a lot been going on. And one of those things being supply issues. I've probably shot about 7 videos saying the exact same thing, and I haven't wanted to post it because it's the downside of business. It's the downside of a supplier not pitching up when they need to. It's the downside of something not working that you thought would work. And it's tough. I'm now in a position where I have to refund customers out of my own pocket because I haven't received the funds back. And the reason why I say it's out of my pocket is because as a small business, when you start from very little and you grow it into something, every piece of profit you reinvest. And I know you shouldn't reinvest money that is not yours yet. And I've found out the hard way that there are people out there that are willing to do the things that they are doing. So yeah, a little background around that was I got into contact with someone in Spain, and they had one piece product at a really good price. And for me, it was a good opportunity to bring stock in, to grow the business, because I was in a position for the business to grow. One Piece has started picking up globally and also in South Africa, where we have a WhatsApp group of like 100. We used to have a WhatsApp group of like, when I initially joined, like 60 people. We now about 350 strong. The player base is also much larger than it used to be. However, we do not have official sanctioning, so that means we don't have official pipelines for product in South Africa. So we tend to import them, sell them here for a small profit, and then Bob's your uncle. That's how you go about your day. And I've been doing it since EBO1, so about June, July 2024. And I was making very little profit on everything. I would say about 10%, if that, just because this was more for me building the community than anything else. And then what happened was, obviously there's a huge increase in prices of what One Piece is now compared to what it used to be, and suppliers are now finding themselves in a situation where they cannot give me stock and or are not sending stock. So what happened in this situation was the guy in Spain said, yo, I have your stock, I'm gonna send it over. It was a few weeks late, and when you import stuff, it happens, things are late. I don't mind that I've been keeping customers up to date as much as I can, but the last few weeks have been rough. The guy went radio silent, didn't say anything, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to post the videos in itself, because it sucked to be taken advantage of in that way. Went radio silent for a few weeks, decided, you know what, I'm going to lay a formal complaint to Shopify. I've laid a formal complaint to Shopify. They have a Shopify store. However, I paid via bank transfer with official reference numbers and whatever else you call it now. I can't even think of what it's called now. And I did things the right way. He then responded about 3 weeks ago saying, we've lost our social media accounts, whatever else, because while traveling in Japan, when we got back, we've lost our social media accounts or whatever else. Cool, benefit of the doubt. As much as I don't want to believe it, I have to. Then advised they no longer do B2B. I said, that's fine. What's the next step? Because you've advised you had the stock. You advised you were sending the stock. Now, I don't have the stock and I don't have the funds. I've been promised for the last 3 weeks that I would be getting a refund. Nothing. I've made complaints on Reddit. I've made complaints on websites that you need a complaint for. I've laid a formal complaint to Shopify. The next situation would be a formal complaint to the bank. However, it would be extremely difficult to recover the funds because I paid with a bank transfer such a long time ago, which is about 6 months ago. I paid all the way in January for pre-order items that never arrived. So it's put the business in a little bit of a tough space. I've had to recon everything, every single piece of cardboard I have. And I say cardboard because it's Funko Pops, it's ETBs that I had filled with cards that I never loaded to the website, never touched the website. And I've loaded about 17,000 cards to the website in the last 3 weeks. I was excited to show you guys, wow, look here, I've been loading cards, go have a look at the website, but it's just not been that kind of journey so far. It's sucked the way things have transpired, and it's not an ideal situation. So we're now sitting in a situation where we need to refund customers, which are going to be irate, and that's unfortunately just something that the business will have to go through. The other side of things is, as I was saying earlier, when you invest every piece of profit into the business, you leave yourself very little space for error. And what I've been doing is I've been reinvesting it into more cards, and some of those cards have gone up quite a bit. And in the South African market, it is extremely difficult to sell. R1,000 card from time to time will be sold because it is either sought after. Something like the OP16 Teach card. It was at about $50, which is about 850 rand. People would pay 1,000 rand for one. The alt version, which was I think at a time 1.6. I think it's now at about 800. So once all of those people have their cards, the market's finished. There is no, oh, I want to grab this one later, I want to grab that one later. It's finished. I've been investing into collector pieces, things like Gift Collection Robin, SP Robin. We'll miss all Sunday at that. What else is there? Onami, I've got one. I pulled one in OP07. I bought one back a while back for about half the price it is now, or half the price, whatever it was. I'm confused myself now, but yeah, the way things are going now, it is rough. The business is now needing to clear out a lot of stock at a discounted rate, which is something now I have to push. I'm now going to set up a campaign to clear out stock. So it would be a Christmas in July concept where we'd sell things at a discounted price, sometimes the price I paid, sometimes less than what I paid for it, because I need to turn over funds for the business. If a buying opportunity comes up for more stock, I'm not in a position to grab more. One of those reasons being is I'm no longer going to be offering pre-orders. Pre-orders is what helped the business run because I had certainty that this was the amount of stock I was going to receive. So if I sold 65-80% of the stock, it would then cover the cost. Whatever additional would be profit, those boxes that were profit, I would essentially open and then list singles for the website. So it's not like I made large number of profit with sealed product. I barely made profit at all. But yeah, that's how it's been. That's what's been happening. Yeah. Few other things. I had to write some of this down. We have a lot of stock, or I have a lot of stock. I need to turn over the stock. One cool thing that did happen was we had our first show at Collecticon, or I had my first show at Collecticon. Friend of mine, Cameron, we shared a stall, and it was great. My girlfriend came with. She helped a lot of stuff. It was a really cool vending experience. Learned a lot. What to take with, what not to take with, pricing, all those kinds of things. I think it's things you can't necessarily do too much research for. I can't sit and think, oh, you know what, I need to price it like this, I need to price it like that. On the day, it's different. A card might spike 40% overnight. I've seen some weird things happen in the One Piece space. But it's also, if I want to grow a TCG business, I need to branch out to different things. So one of those branches being Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I've been collecting for a very long time. Unfortunately, not as long as I would have wanted to, but I have been collecting for a while. A lot of the times, cards I pulled back way back when I have sold already, so I don't have many of those cards anymore. But yeah, looking at different avenues, looking at building the business, essentially now from the minus. And yeah, so the journey still continues. We're still going through a lot of the stuff. I would ideally like to set up a cash flow chart so you guys can see what sells in the week. So what would have sold over the week from today all the way until next week. Things like Pokemon split and One Piece split. For now, I'm gonna split the two. See if I can find a way to split the two. I use Shopify, so I probably need to tag them better. So when I sell an item for Pokemon, I can then use my tracker, put everything in the tracker, and then just go from there. Because I do think it's important that each side of the business has a different goal. So Pokemon side of the business, I would ideally like to buy a scanner. I've got a lot of Pokemon cards that I've been collecting over years, and that's almost forgotten money. So whatever I make from there would essentially, I want to branch them off slightly. So let's say 60% goes to a scanner and a new laptop, 40% goes to buying new stock and then turning over stuff like that. So that's ideally what I want to do. Once I've set it all up, hopefully in this week, I'll take a video of the idea of what I want to do, and then we can go from there. But thank you again, guys, for joining. I will see you next week, I promise, for episode 3, and then hopefully some better news. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.